Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel, Mills Family Gardening. I'm Dina and today is a very hot, almost 100-degree day in North Texas. We're in zone 8A and I've been working on creating a new in-ground bed that I'm going to use for planting some fall and winter vegetables like broccoli and cabbages, and on this side I'll be planting like bok choy and Swiss chard and radishes and beets and other winter vegetables. We'll show you a little video clip what this area looked like before I put this tarp on top. So it used to be just grass, and I'm trying not to take away too much from our girls' playground, but I'm trying to extend our garden area at the same time. I'm planning on planting some fall vegetables in about the middle of September or end of September, depending on the weather in Texas. And so I'm hoping that the tarp would kill the grass and the weeds by that time. And let me show you what it looks like now. And so you can see that this area is already dug up, as well as that whole area is dug up. And if you come a little closer, you can see that I threw some tomato plants, well, tomato leaves that I trimmed from our tomato plants, and then I covered this dug up area with horse manure. And so let me show you how I prepare this bed. Almost every night, every other night, I have a box full of our kitchen scraps, like kitchen veggies and fruits, and I take them outside and I put them straight into the ground. So I'm going to dig a small hole, and I'm going to dig it not too deep because our soil is clay. Well, if you dig deeper than 6 inches, you will find a lot of red, heavy clay soil. So I try not to dig too deep. And then I simply take all these kitchen scraps and put them in the ground like that. And if you have grass area like here, I usually try to put it with grass side down so that the grass would start decomposing and eventually it will turn to the soil, and it will be good for the plants also. So then I just cover it up and press it down a little bit. And so you see this whole area is not covered with horse manure. So what I'm going to do now is put some horse manure on top. And now I'm just going to, with a rake, spread evenly all over the surface. And this horse manure is going to feed the soil wonderfully and eventually feed the plants. So for the last month, I've been burying kitchen scraps throughout the whole area that starts from where the black tarp starts and all the way down here. And so my plan is to finish it right about here, and then I'll be pretty much done with this new in-ground bed. If you decide to use horse manure or other animal manure, just make sure that the grass and the pasture that the animals fed on was not sprayed with herbicides or pesticides, because they will be in the horse manure and eventually it will get into the soil and it will kill your plants. So make sure you get clean manure without any pesticides. And so after I bury the kitchen scraps in the ground, I cover the whole area with the black tarp again so that it would start killing the grass. This method of preparing a new in-ground garden bed has 3 benefits. The first benefit is that you don't need to have your homemade compost. And really, who has so much homemade compost to cover this whole area? And so when you put your kitchen scraps straight into the ground, they work as compost, except straight in the ground. And that brings us to the second benefit. Putting kitchen scraps straight into the ground is like an instant soil amendment. When you put them in the ground, you attract all the earthworms and bacteria and fungi, and they start working on the kitchen scraps, and they start making your soil alive. And so when you plant your plants, the roots of the plants are going to benefit from it. And the stronger the roots, the stronger the plants. And the third benefit is that this method is completely free. If I hadn't put the kitchen scraps in the ground, they would have gone into waste or a trash can. But this way they actually feed the soil and eventually they will turn into the soil. Well, this method is almost free. We did have to buy the tarp or landscape cover, but we are going to reuse it in the future, so it's not a waste of money. And this is the second part of the video where I'm going to plant some broccoli seeds and cabbage seeds. I'm actually going to plant two kinds of broccoli. One is called early green broccoli. I think it's going to be ripe in about 60 days. And then I'm going to grow this broccoli de Chico. It's supposed to be ready in 48 days. So I got these two varieties just to test them out and see which one is going to perform better. And then I'm going to also plant cabbage seeds. It says that it's going to be ready in about 63 to 100 days. So we'll see how it does. I've never been able to grow really good cabbage and broccoli because I did not work well on the soil. So this year I decided to really work well on the soil and prepare it well. So hopefully this year or beginning of next year we'll be able to harvest big cabbage heads and broccoli. I'm going to grow cabbage and broccoli seedlings under the grow light indoors because right now it's extremely hot and they're not going to do well in this Texas heat. And that's exactly why some of our vegetables are looking very droopy right now. But the rest of the winter vegetables are going to go straight into the ground. So for my growing medium for cabbage and broccoli seeds, I'm actually going to use this finished compost that we did in a cardboard box. And if you would like to check out that video, we'll put the link in the description. But I sifted through the compost and removed all the bigger pieces because the seeds need finer soil. So this is not rich soil right now. I need to enrich it. So I'm going to use this all-purpose fertilizer that I'm going to sprinkle it on top like that. And not too much because it might hurt the seedlings. The seedlings are very delicate and you need to be very careful with them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stir it together. And I'll probably add some more because it didn't look like it was much there. And this compost feels so nice. I'm going to reuse these containers just to save some money and not buying special containers for that. And I'm going to fill them up with this compost. Okay. And I have 3 of these containers. And they will work perfectly for cabbage and broccoli. So I'm starting my seeds about 6 to 8 weeks before I'm going to transplant them in the ground. That's how much time you usually need to start any seeds, really, about 6 to 8 weeks. So here are our containers, and before you plant your seeds, you need to water them. Well, you need to water the soil and make sure the soil is moist, because once you put the seeds in the ground and if the soil is dry, then the seeds are going. After you water them, they're going to float to the top. Okay, now I'm going to make little holes in the soil mix. Okay, so I'm going to plant early green broccoli right now. Early green broccoli should be ready in about 60 days, hopefully. And I'm going to put about 4 or 5 seeds in each hole just to make sure that at least one seed sprouts. And make sure that you don't plant them too deep because the seeds are not very big. And the rest of them will go back into the package. All right, in the second container, I'm going to plant this broccoli de Chico. These seeds are also small, so make sure you don't plant them too deep. And again, about 4 or 5 seeds in each hole. In the third container, I'm going to plant cabbage seeds. It's Copenhagen Market Early. That's supposed to be ready in about 63 to 100 days. And the seeds are just like broccoli seeds. They're tiny, so I'm not going to plant them too deep. And again, about 4 or 5 seeds in each hole. Then cover up all the holes like that. And press the soil lightly just to make sure the seeds are in contact with the soil, because the seeds need to stay moist the whole time. And now I'm just going to water the seeds. And I don't need to water them too much because the soil is already moist. And the seeds are ready to go under the grow light. I positioned the lights about 2-3 inches above the seedling containers, and I set the timer for 16 hours, which means the light will come on at 6 in the morning and will go out at 10 in the evening. And also I'm going to make sure to keep the soil in the containers moist at all times. If you don't want any gnats or their eggs in the house, there are 3 things that you can do. You can set your compost in the sun for a week, and that way the gnats and their eggs will die. Or you can bake your compost in the oven, or you can water your compost with boiling water. What I did, I just let it sit in the sun for about a week or 2, and I know that that way there aren't any gnats or their eggs. And that's how we create a new in-ground bed for our fall vegetables. We would love to know the way you prepare your bed. Please share your ideas in the comment section. If you have any questions, please ask them. We'd love to answer them. We hope you enjoyed this video and it gave you some ideas. We would really appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe to our channel. It would help us grow our channel. And for now, happy gardening and prepare your garden beds for the fall.